ya takatifu ama Holy Family Basilica.
Jumamosi tarehe 20 Novemba, sherehe na ibada ya kusimikwa kwa mwashamu askofu mkuu Philip Anyolo kama askofu wa 5 wa jimbo kuu Katoliki la Nairobi.
Sherehe hii itafanyika kwenye uwanja wa shule ya Mtakatifu Maria eneo la Msongari kuanzia saa 4 asubuhi. Kiongozi wa ibada na msimikaji mkuu atakuwa mwashamu askofu mkuu Bart Van Megan, mwakilishi wa Baba Mtakatifu hapa nchini.
Kaa nasi hapa Capuchin TV kwa matangazo haya ya kihistoria. Endelea kutazama Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki. Sala ya kuombea sinodi. Tunasimama mbele yako ewe Roho Mtakatifu, tunapokusanyika pamoja kwa jina lako. Wewe pekee unayetuongoza, weka maskani yako ndani ya nyoyo zetu. Utufundishe njia ya kupita na jinsi ya kuenenda. Sisi ni dhaifu na wenye dhambi. Usiruhusu tuendelee kuchochea machafuko. Usiruhusu ujinga utuongoze kwenye njia mbaya, wala upendeleo usiathiri matendo yetu. Utuwezeshe ndani yako tuwe na umoja, ili tuweze kusafiri pamoja hadi uzima wa milele, wala tusipotee mbali kutoka njia ya ukweli na iliyo sahihi. Tunaomba haya yote kwako wewe ufanyaye kazi kila mahali na kila wakati, katika ushirika wa Baba na Mwana, milele na milele. Amina. Living Faith Kids
Daily Devotions for Africa.
Mark chapter 8 verse 21.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 44 to 45.
We have a short story about Doreen and Barney.
I'm going to follow Jesus so that I can spend with him time. How about you?
Tune in every day at 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. only on Capuchin TV. This is to help kids grow in faith, wisdom, and develop habit of daily prayers and build their relationship with Jesus Christ and church. Train the young in the way they should go. Even when old, they will not swerve from it. Living Faith Kids
Daily Devotions for Africa.
Hivi karibuni tunakuletea kipindi anzilishi cha Shina la Jamii.
Tunachanganua na kupambanua masuala yanayofungamana na jamii.
Ni kipindi kitakachoangazia masuala ya kifamilia kama vile maadili, uhusiano wa kifamilia na mengine mengi yatakayochipuka.
Usuli wa ndoa ni nini?
Ndoa ni safari ya watu wawili, mume na mke.
Na hii safari ina mabonde na milima.
Wengi wanauana na kujitoa uhai. Je, tumekosea wapi?
Tunapokoseana na kupigana na kuumizana, mambo mawili huwa yametendeka. La kwanza ni ukosefu wa mawasiliano.
Communication ndio glue ambayo hold couples together.
Mawasiliano ni muhimu kwa sababu katika hii nafasi ya maisha hamna yeyote ambaye katika ile hali ya kuangalia mwenzangu naweza sema kwamba anawaza hili ama anafikiria hili na angependa hili litendeke na litendeke namna hii.
La pili ni jambo ambalo ni jambo gumu lakini linawezekana, msamaha.
Kuna wale wanaolaumu wazazi, walimu. Je, ni asasi gani ambazo zinahusika katika kuhakikisha kwamba wanajenga familia au jamii iliyo bora?
Lazima tusaidiane. Wakati wowote kukiwa na jambo nzuri na jambo baya kuhusu watoto wetu, tujadiliane, tujue wote.
Na wanasema ndoa ndoano, lakini inafikia wakati unahisi kwamba hii ndoano imeanza kulegea au ina dosari.
Kama mlikuwa mmezoea kuitana babe, honey, sasa mama fulani, baba fulani.
My husband is anakuanga very careful about image. Na mimi nami nakuanga mtu relaxed. I was brought up as a tomboy because nili grow up na wavulana.
Ungana nami Asasha Elizabeth pamoja na wanandoa Bwana Tom na Bilinet Lichuma kila siku ya Jumatano saa 4 asubuhi na Jumamosi saa 11 alasiri, tukikujuza mengi kuhusu jamii ya sasa, kuhusu familia, ndoa, watoto na kadhalika. Kumbuka pia tutakuwa tunakuletea wanandoa, wazazi ambao pengine wanafanya malezi peke yao, ambao wamambo wanasema ni single parents. Papa hapa ndani ya Capuchin TV, siku ni Jumatano asubuhi. Nami Asasha Elizabeth.
Jamii bora, maisha bomba.
Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to Capuchin Television. This Catholic Broadcasting Ministry, Capuchin TV, and of course to this program, taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. My name again is Joyce Pius Egunjobi, and I'm here with you again. It's good to see you. As you begin to watch, don't forget to always subscribe or to actually share with your families and friends to always benefit from the program we have here every Thursday from 2:30 to 3 p.m. Eastern African Time. Today we'll be talking about an interesting topic, and that's a topic that actually touches on each and every one of us, because we all emanated or come from a particular family. So we'll be talking about family, and we'll be talking about whether functionality or dysfunctionality of a family. And of course, like I said, the basis of everything we do actually, of course, what make us to maybe shape us in a little way to be who we are today is our family, because the family is the first home we actually find ourselves, is the first school, is the first church. And of course, if a family is well grounded, be sure that the nation will be well grounded. But if the families are dysfunctional, you're also going to get a kind of dysfunctional country. And that is why we need to pay attention to families to talk about this. I must acknowledge the fact that this topic was initiated by our Sister Zavera, who actually said we can talk about this today. So Sister Zavera, thank you very much for the inspiration. So when we talk about family generally, we know that it's a group of one or more parents. You know, this day we don't talk about two parents, which is also part of the dysfunctionality, because as we want a child to actually grow with a father figure, mother figure, and actually to have a balanced kind of home balance, kind of a home grooming, a balance, kind of a different kind of a flavor to the child's growth. But today we know that we have a lot of single parenthood, as we'll be talking about later. So when you look at definition now, go online and begin to look at the definition, you begin to see the family being defined as a group of one or more parents and their children living together as a unit. And that's a family, it's a community. Of course, it can also be understood as a social group made up of parents and their children. And of course, it is healthier when you have both parents together, and then when the children can actually feel the father, the masculine effect, and of course the feminine effect in their growth. So when we talk about family generally, we know we can talk in terms of a nuclear family, we can also talk about extended family, we can talk about reconstituted family, and we can talk about the what we call single parent family. So when we talk about nuclear family, we all understand what that means. It's a family unit which is comprising of 2 adults and of course a number of children. And when we say 2 adults in this case, don't misunderstand it, basically supposed to be, traditionally should be the father and the mother. The father and the mother and the children. That is what they call a nuclear family. And of course, these children might be also, we know, could be biological. For those families, maybe the marriages that are not actually blessed by their own children, that are born biologically, they can go into, adopting. And of course, you can also have what called stepfather or stepmotherhood kind of a thing in the family. And when you talk about extended family, we also, it goes beyond the nuclear one, that you begin to look at when you are also considering the grandparents, the aunts, the uncle, the cousins, that can form a clan and can go beyond that. So if a married couple, for example, live with either the husband or wife's parents, the family changes from the nuclear, of course, to an extended household. And we also have what we call reconstituted family. Reconstituted family, which is also known as the step family. Step family, especially a family where one or both adults have children from previous relationship with them. And what does that mean? That maybe you were not necessarily actually been in one marriage before. Probably maybe when you're in secondary school, you have a child, okay? And that child has to have a father and has a mother. And then you eventually got married to somebody else. To somebody eventually later in year. That child is your stepchild. The child of your spouse that is born before you got married is a stepchild. So again, that's the part of the family you cannot, and that is why you need to reconsider that before you start getting married. If somebody is having a child before, can you cope with that child? So it's one of the things you have to take care of. If you want to marry this woman who has a child before, are you ready to also take care of that child? Or if you are marrying a man who, have had a child before, are you ready to marry that man? Because you will not want to take the man or the woman and neglect the child. The moment you begin to do that, you are creating another problem that may be bigger than what you're expecting or anticipating. And of course, will you be able to love these children that are born outside of that before you get married? You have to love them the way you are supposed to love your own children. So also we have a single parent family that is very rampant today in Kenya. Here is growing more and more, and in which case they are both parents. In most cases, these people do not actually get married at all. Maybe they just have their children out of wedlock. Some actually get married, and of course they either separated. If it's still separated, that's still good. But when it is divorce, it's more challenging, because in separation, you are still together. In divorce, sometimes, you can still form together, but many times the load of 2 people becomes the business of one person, and that could be very strenuous on one person. If it's a woman or it's a man, it doesn't matter. can be very strenuous to the level that the child begins to feel it. And you see this person who is taking care of this child alone, always struggling to look for somebody else to take the role of the one that is missing for the concern of the child. And many times we do even blame the child delinquent behavior, to the fact that maybe because the father was not there or the mother was not there. And because there is an input, those want something to put together. But of course, where you don't find that is just one parent taking care of the children or the child, then we call that a single parent family. And I bet you they are becoming more rampant today, especially when people actually cannot bear with each other. We get irritated easily, we're emotionally disrupted, we don't have values anymore to hold on, and nothing like perseverance, endurance. Our endurance level is low. So once your spouse just made a single mistake, we are ready to kick the person out. And when we forget all the for better, for worse that we used to say when we are married, all of them go into the, shambles somewhere and not buried, and then we don't actually remember all those good times again. We only hold on to the negative things, that we forget that there's no human being that is perfect, that we know we are always in the state of becoming, and it could be rough today and they'll be better tomorrow. Just like you can wake up happy and go back to bed, go to bed unhappy. And I need also to mention, because of course in many parts of the world we are still fighting this. In some other societies they have accepted it. And I know there was a day I was reading the dictionary, I was looking at the definition of marriage, and of course they were also defining marriage in terms of same sex. So it is not unlikely you must have heard that before, because that is one of the things that is roaming around us today. And so I don't want to go on without mentioning that also we will talk about same-sex family, whether it is a woman and a woman that got married together, or the man and a man that got married together. And then, of course, they may not be able to have children of their own, because that cannot happen biologically. That's why in the religious sense, they look at it as an aberration, because that's not normal. Everything that God created, the same male and female, He created them. But of course, we do something outside of because we are too wise. Of course, we may go into that level to say, yes, I have this flow for this man, or I have this flow for this woman. And of course, they tend to get married together. And I bet you since 2005, when some countries begin to legalize same-sex marriage, it begins to be something that we also put into consideration. And of course, in the same-sex couple, because they cannot conceive, like I said earlier, they most likely have to adopt a child, or maybe one or two of them have actually, or two of them have had children in their previous marriages or previous relationship. They become adopted also, as stepchildren in that family. That may also be from, and also we know that they do, especially in the case of the lesbians who actually got married together, they can actually do what they call look for a sperm donor to get one of them pregnant, the one that always acts as the woman, and then they give birth. We have all those kind of things that is happening today, but guess what? They all have impact in our society today, and they have impact on our formation. They have impact on the formation of the children, of course, on the future as well. Though during this program, that's not my concern, but I just need to let you know that nothing happens that we are doing today that will not actually impact the way we live tomorrow. So, however, we can also describe family in terms of functionality. So we have what they call functional family, and we have also what they call dysfunctional family. We have functional family again, and we have what they call dysfunctional family, and that's the focus of our topic today, or what we are looking at. But before we begin to talk about dysfunctional family, we have to first know, before you say something is dysfunctional, you want to know how functional it is. And when you talk about the functional family, you are talking about a situation where the adults are at the center of the family, they are in charge, and they're pulling things together in the same direction, meaning their husband and wife are connected, they are communicating properly, they are journeying towards the same goal of the family. Parents take responsibility, you know, not that you are leaving responsibility to the woman or you are leaving it to the man alone. Or even in this case, you are not only even redefining the you know, man thinking that is only a provision, a provider, and the woman thinking is just a nurturer, but they have to know that they have to collaborate in this function of providing for the children, and of course, doing everything together as well to make sure that they are nurturing, they are training these children. So in a functional family, you have the children's needs are assured, and of course the adults are also putting things together to make sure that these children have what they want as much as the family can provide, not trying to do much more than what they can do. There are several characteristics of, of course, that you can think of about the functional family. There's the issue of support between the husband and wife, and of course between the parents and of course the children. There's this support there. There's you can feel loved and you can feel cared for. And members care about each other, they love each other, they like each other, they support each other. And there's a sense of security in that family, and of course you have the sense of belonging. Of course you consider your place a home where you really want to go there at all times. So there's an open communication, making each other you know, within the family to feel important, valued, respected, and esteemed. So that's about functional family. And then when we come back after the break, we'll be looking at it more and of course go into dysfunctional family, and we look at the effect on the children. Before then, stay tuned.
The Psycho-Spiritual Therapy Institute, which we of the Luke Stera Leadership Foundation, in collaboration with Miss Joachim, have set up, is a project that I am very excited about, and I am very happy that I am part of the birthing of this project. It is aimed at healing of pastoral agents that run into problem on account of widespread trauma, on account of burnout, on account of addictions, and all kinds of problems that pastoral agents do have. But with this project of the Psycho-Spiritual Institute, we shall now be training experts in psycho-spiritual therapy who will be available in various countries, various dioceses and congregations to help their colleagues who are in difficult life situations of an emotional and psychological nature.
Welcome back, viewers, and again, this is Capuchin Television, and with this special program, taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. We've been talking today about family, and we've tried to look at the different types of family, and of course, we come to just say that there are other ways of looking at family in terms of the functionality. So I was just talking about the issue of the functional family, and all the things that are found in the functional family, where there is support, where there is love and caring for each member of the family, when there is, of course, sense of belonging, sense of security, and of course, there is open communication. You're able to actually confront each other in love, and the parents care, and then making each other present to feel within the family. And of course, we want everybody to feel loved, valued, respected, and of course, to have esteem. And also, we know the functional family lets people define themselves. You are not just the one trying to define how your children should be. There's a kind of a freedom for, and of course, there's a promotion of the person's gift and talents. Individual differences are appreciated, and even they are celebrated. But they are not using this in terms of using it to nag a child to say, don't you look at your brother is doing, you are just useless. No, they don't talk about that. They respect the fact that each of the children, they are different from each other and they are celebrated in their differences. Of course, it lets the children become independent when it's appropriate, and of course, they come back to the safety of the family when they need nurturing. And that's why you see in this kind of a family, no matter where the children go, they always still carry the value of the family at heart, and they are still staying connected, no matter how distant they are. Even in terms of the husband and the wife not living together because of job related, we call it distant marriage, they are still very much connected because everything is moving on well. So and of course, when they are building, they are not just building about the house. They're not building the house in terms of how big, how many rooms. No, they are trying to build a home where you really want to be every now and then. You are happy going there. I'm going home. You are happy going there. Not just the house that is big, and then you begin to feel like, what am I doing here? You have everything, yet you are not satisfied. That is building a house. But when you're building a home, even when you have nothing, you are satisfied with what you have, or you are contented, and you enjoy the little things you have at your disposal. So that is when they come about functional family. Then when we now talk about dysfunctional family, this is the kind of a family where conflict, neglect, misbehavior are constantly happening, and it's every time the husband and wife are shouting and nagging, breaking things, calling each other's names, abusing the children, and making life really miserable that, many times it could be terrible on the child as they grow up. And of course, in terms of psychology, we look at dysfunctional family as those with anxious system within them. There's always a high level of anxiety, about a lot of things. There's tremendous amount of emotional disturbances within the family members, and it sometimes means that it is coupled with child neglect and abuse. And that's why the father can leave the house not caring, or he just goes out there, gets drunk, and every time he's bringing shame on the family. Or the woman is never at home, is never there, she's too much into career, and then she's never been there to be present for the children, even not for the husband. So that creates a lot of issue of anxiety, and of course sometimes depression, that you can even find within that kind of a family that children begin to talk about they want to kill themselves, and especially when you come to the level where abuse is just the order of the day because the parents are absent, the brothers are taking advantage of their sister, and then they're all having, all kind of a thing, and then a lot of hates and anger, a lot just full there. So children from this kind of a family, they assume that sometimes, what is dysfunctional becomes normal for them. They look at it as a normal thing. It's okay for a man to slap the wife, and it's okay for the woman to do, because that's all they know, that's all they grew up. I remember I used to have this client a long time ago that actually was asking me if pimp, I don't know whether you know what pimp is the word pimp is okay. Pimp is like when you live in a prostitution environment, pimping is like a prostitution. And when I was checking with this person, he said, why are you thinking that way? And he said, because how can you tell me pimps is not okay? Because that's all that I know. That's how I grew up. That's where I grew up. That's all that I see. So again, what could be dysfunctional can actually be normal to somebody. And then because that's all that you're exposed to, your brain continues to actually see that as that is what is normal. So the American Psychological Association, APA, also defines the functional family as a family in which relationships and communications are impaired. relationship and communications are impaired, and members are unable to attain closeness and self-expression. They cannot even express, your children cannot express themselves because they just have to obey what you are saying. And anything that is, you don't want to listen. And of course, a family is considered dysfunctional if they meet this criteria, as we just mentioned the other time. And of course, why are some families dysfunctional? Of course, we know that there's no family that is perfect, whether functional or dysfunctional. They are all also in the state of becoming better as they grow, each for that. But it starts from the day one when you actually begin to know that there's a difference between your marriage and your family. And what am I saying? That when you are not equating your marriage to your family, you are coming to know that what brings about your family is the marriage and not the family becoming the marriage. So what does that mean is that you are able to know that even while you need to take care of your children, you don't lose the attention to yourselves as they grow. So there are many reasons, like I said, about external and internal kind of reasons or situations that can make a family become a dysfunctional. One of them is that your family history of dysfunctional. If your family history is dysfunctional, and that's what I said the other time, where you grow up to know, that's all that you grow up to know. And there are certain behaviors that your father actually exhibit or your mother exhibit, and you begin to see them as normal. Maybe you see them fight every day, you see fighting as normal. Maybe they even told you don't ever let anybody cheat you, you have to fight. So you can find that, it can be there. And of course, when you talk about the issue of finances, can actually cause what they call dysfunctional family, especially if your family is undergoing or has been through maybe poor, or they are undergoing what they call the financial challenges. That can put a kind of an extra pressure on the father, on the mother, as the case may be, on both of them. And because of this pressure, they become excessively stressful, and their relationship become very toxic. So that from there you begin to see them getting into conflict. And of course, as soon as they become facing that money issue, you find the parents getting anxious, and then it may lead to cracks in the family structure, and then leading to fight and disharmony, and these things can actually affect the children. The issue of violence, just like the fight we just talked about of conflict, can actually cause, of course, a lot of things. Sometimes even when somebody is overtly religious, can make a family to be dysfunctional, especially when the father or the mother, as the case may be, is always in the church and of course enjoying the glory of the Lord, but despising the family, thinking they are obstructing him from enjoying the Lord. Even though we know that God would actually first tell you, go and take care of your family, but you neglect that. You really want to think because you are serving the Lord, then your family are not well catered for, you are not there for them, you don't even provide for them. You are saying, I'm praying, I'm praying, I'm praying, I'm praying. Yet there are things you need to do to actually make others feel okay and feel happy. So when you are overly religious in your belief system, that can also cause a dysfunctional family. When you begin to exercise this authority, and especially in an authoritarian family, where you think that you are, as a father, whatever you say is the final, or as a mother, whatever you say is the final, and you keep telling your children, don't you know I'm your father? Don't you know I'm your mother? That always sounds crazy to me, because how can my father want to remind me if he's his father? Of course, I know he's my father. I know you are my mother. So must you remind me that as you're my father or my mother, is because something is wrong somewhere. So when you actually want to exercise this kind of family, it can actually lead to that. And of course, poor and ineffective communication can be when you actually among husband and wife, when you begin to talk rudely or disrespectfully to your wife before your friends, all those things. You think the woman will be happy? No. Or you actually slam your children anyhow before people, you think they will be happy? No. So you're actually causing a kind of a thing like that. And of course, when there's when you begin to compare between your children, or you're comparing your family with somebody else's, Again, that may actually cause dysfunctionality. There's issue of power struggle, excessive criticism. Nothing is always good. Your husband is never good for nothing. You know, or your wife is good for nothing, and you always even express that verbally, physically, and otherwise. That all those things can also cause trouble, and most especially when there is no intimacy. You know, when the wife is thinking that the best way to deal with the husband is to deny him sexual relationship, or the husband also think, yeah, I'm enjoying myself outside, I don't care what a woman feel. You are there materially, but emotionally you zero, then that is going to cause another trouble. We know the issue of drugs and alcohol. Of course, whether your child is the one on drugs, or your children, or your parents himself, or the parents themselves are the one on the issue of drugs and alcohol, of course that causes dysfunctional family. When you don't have empathy, it's also part of it, and many, many other things. So what this just causes to children is the fact that children who grow up in this case may also begin to see that as the normal thing, and that could be disastrous for our society. And that is why parents need to know that God has given them the great responsibility to be role model to these children and to be there. So if you have brought any child to life in your family, then be there for that child, whether in the time of good time or bad time, be there. So that's what we are talking about. And of course, when you take care of that, the children will be able to grow well. So that's what we're just going to say today. We have just talked about the different types of families, and of course about the functionality about families. I really wish that your family, you know, like we used to pray, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, make our family like yours, you know, a house where there's freedom, where there's connection, where there's communication, where there's peace, where there's joy. And I pray for your family today, that your family shall be functional and not dysfunctional. And your children will be good children and not bad children. They will not bring disgrace to you, but they will bring you glory, and glory to the Lord. So thank you once again for listening. I'll see you again next week. Have a nice time.